We could not make that 50 kg weight category.
The rules are very clear when it comes to such situations. If an athlete does not attend or fails the weigh-in, he or she will be eliminated from the competition and ranked last without a ranking. India have lodged a protest and the Wrestling Federation chief has vowed to take up the matter with the highest authorities.
उम्मीद पे तो हम टिके हैं और अभी हम लड़ रहे हैं। मैं तो अंतिम दम तक प्रयास करूंगा कि ये मेडल हम किसी भी तरह से मुझे फाइट का मौका मिल जाए और मेडल हिंदुस्तान की झोली में डालवा सकूं।
The Olympics, which is the highlight of an athlete's career, has never left happy memories for Vinesh Phogat. In Paris, her perfect redemption story was just one chapter away, but in a sheer anti-climax, Vinesh has been denied a place in history. Sports Bureau, India Today.
So what I'm going to do is hand it over to our consulting editor Rajdeep Sardesai, who's just made it back from what was a waterlogged road in the national capital, Rajdeep.
That's right. The traffic has got me, but what has got Vinesh Phogat is far more unfortunate than just a traffic jam. It really is a tragic moment for Indian sport, and those are the questions we want to raise. What really cost India the gold and Vinesh an opportunity to get that gold? Is it a mess up or a misfortune? Did her support staff miscalculate her weight plan? Does wrestling and its rules need a complete relook? These are some of the questions that we will raise today, and we have several guests joining us. The first is Babita Phogat, part of this famous family from Haryana. Babita ji, बहुत-बहुत शुक्रिया. विनेश फोगाट 100 ग्राम 100 ग्राम से ओवरवेट हो गई है. डॉक्टर पारडीवाला के मुताबिक न्यूट्रिशनिस्ट के अनुमान लगाया था कि 1.5 किलो बढ़ेगा, लेकिन एक्चुअल में 2.7 केजी बढ़ गया. क्या इसमें किसी की कोई चूक आप मानते हैं? बबीता जी.
बिल्कुल, देखिए चूक तो नहीं कह सकते, लेकिन जब खिलाड़ी वेंग देकर जब खेलता है तो खेलते टाइम उसको थोड़ी एनर्जी भी चाहिए होती है, और जितना कुछ खाता पीता है तो उसका डबल रिएक्ट जो है बॉडी करती है, क्योंकि इतने टाइम से वेट लूज कर रही थी विनेश, और वेट लूज करके ही 50 केजी उसने वेंग दिखाया, और उसके बाद बाउट लड़ी तो कुछ खा पी के उन्होंने थोड़ा, ताकि बॉडी भी डिहाइड्रेशन ना हो, इसलिए उन्होंने लिक्विड भी लिया, तो इसका रिएक्ट जो है वो बॉडी डबल करती है. अगर आपने मान लो 1 केजी खाया है नाप कर भी, तो वो कई बार इतना रिएक्ट कर देती है कि आपका वेंग जो है वो 2 केजी बढ़ जाता है. आपको भी नहीं पता चलता कि कैसे बढ़ा, लेकिन बॉडी, क्योंकि कई बार होता है कि इतने दिन से हमने बहुत कम खाया और थोड़ा सा ज्यादा खा लिया, तो इसी वजह से ये रहता है, वेट अप हो जाता है.
लेकिन उनके स्टेटमेंट में डॉक्टर पारडीवाला जो मेडिकल डॉक्टर थे, उन्होंने कहा कोच ने नॉर्मल टैक्टिक्स अपनाए थे. उनका कहना था कि वेट कम हो जाएगा, लेकिन जब देखा कि वेट उतना कम नहीं हो रहा है तो ड्रास्टिक मेजर्स कल रात से लगाने पड़े. कुछ ना कहीं ना कुछ सपोर्ट स्टाफ ने कुछ ओवरलुक किया है, क्योंकि वेट रेसलिंग में ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होता है, वेट कंट्रोल.
नहीं, ओवरलुक ये नहीं कह सकते कि उन्होंने ओवरलुक किया, क्योंकि उन्होंने अपने जब उन्होंने ट्रेनिंग का स्टार्ट की होगी विनेश ने, और ऐसे लग रहा, क्योंकि उनके लगा नहीं होगा कि इतना हैवी लगेगा, क्योंकि अगर नॉर्मली हम 2.5 केजी वेट घटाते हैं तो मैं मानती हूँ कि 2 घंटे में हम घटा लेते हैं, लेकिन जब वेट डाउन करते हैं और 4-5 केजी वेट ऑलरेडी डाउन हम कर चुके हैं और उससे ज़्यादा हम घटाने की कोशिश करते हैं, तो फिर मुझे लगता है कि इतने टाइम में बहुत कम वेट जो है वेट लूज जो बहुत कम कर पाते हैं. उसका एक रीजन है कि आपकी बॉडी जितना फ्रेश बॉडी होती है और जितना आप हेल्दी खा पी के आप वेट घटाते तो वो जल्दी घट जाता है, और अगर आपने ऑलरेडी डाउन कर रखा वेट और उसके बाद आप ट्रेनिंग करते हैं, प्रैक्टिस करते हैं, तो कई बार स्वेट आने भी बंद हो जाते हैं, बॉडी में इतना रिएक्ट होता है, क्योंकि ज़्यादा वेट लूज करने से भी बॉडी डिहाइड्रेट हो जाती है और पानी की कमी हो जाती है, जिसकी वजह से बॉडी के अंदर आप अगर आधा घंटा भी अगर दौड़ लगाएंगे तो भी 200 ग्राम ही वेट आप कम कर पाएंगे। तो उस पानी की कमी की वजह से फिर बॉडी में स्वेट आना भी बंद हो जाता है।
बबीता जी, आपने हमें बताया कि क्या क्या परेशानी होती है इस तरह से वेट कंट्रोल करने में। बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। आई वांट टू मूव टू आदिल सुमारीवाला। ही इज the Vice President of the International Athletics Federation, President of India's Athletic Federation. He is in Paris, and I spoke to him short while ago because he is one of the country's leading sports administrators. Was the backroom staff responsible? Did Vinesh get it wrong, or has the system failed her? Listen to him. And joining me now is Adil Subariwala. He's Vice President at the International Athletics Federation. He's also President of the Asian Athletics Federation, one of India's leading sports administrators. Mr. Subariwala, how do you see what's happened to Vinesh Phogat? What is your response to what seems from the outside as something that could have been avoided?
So, one, let me tell you, it's a very sad day for Indian sport. Secondly, let me also tell you that these things happen in weight categories, whether it's boxing or wrestling or weightlifting or judo, when you have to fall within a weight category. Let me explain how the system works to clarify to everyone. Number one, you have to be within the weight category. Vinesh used to fight in the 53 weight category. She brought herself down. Antim started fighting in the 53. She brought herself down to the 50. She worked very hard to bring her weight down into the 50 category. The way the system works is there is a weigh-in in the morning before your bout. Yesterday morning, when she was weighed, she just about made the 50 category. Once the weigh-in is over, you are allowed to eat, drink as much as you want. Remember, she had 3 very, very strong bouts, including the Japanese, who had an 84-0 win, who was unbeaten. Now, so she had to eat between bouts to get her energy and her strength back. When she finished her 3rd bout, she went back to the village, found out she was quite a bit overweight. When that happens, then you get into all of these athletes get into a sauna, get into running. The whole night, the whole team of doctors, including Dr. Pardiwala and team, were with her, trying to ensure she could lose weight, gone below. In the morning, after the whole night, in the morning, when they weighed her, she was overweight by a few grams. I'm told 100, I don't know, because I don't live in the village. I'm on the jury for athletics, so we are not kept in the village or anywhere. Having been overweight, there's only a 15-minute window that is given to you. Now, I'm told the doctor, including, got her to cut her hair, etc., so her weight would reduce. Every single effort was made by the medical team the whole night yesterday. It's unfortunate that she didn't get into the weight category, but also let me remind you that this is not the first time something like this has happened. It's happened in the United States, it's happened in Canada, it's happened in the UK, it's happened in Germany, it's happened in Australia, it's happened in Japan, where an athlete at some point just misses the weight category. Again, remember, Vinesh was always in the higher category, and she has reduced it to her lower category. And therefore, the chances of her not meeting that are very...
I take your point, Adil, and I'm glad you've given us a detailed description. However, Vijinder Singh was with us, and he said it is not unusual for an athlete to also get a grace period. Considering that her bout was much later tonight, she could have got a grace period. He says that there was a possibility if her case had been fought strongly enough. And he used the word conspiracy. Remember, the Wrestling Federation of India chief Sanjay Singh is a crony of Brij Bhushan Saran Singh, the BJP MP, former BJP MP.
who had sexual harassment charges against him by Vinesh and others. So there are these conspiracy theories also being mounted, Adil. Are you dismissing them, rejecting them overnight? Could we have fought harder for her, given her, managed to get her a grace time, or that's not possible?
Let me make things clear to you. There is no conspiracy. Okay, there is no conspiracy. If you're overweight, you're overweight. Number two, from little that I know of wrestling rules, the only grace you can get is if you are injured. If in the previous bout you got an injury, I am told that that is the only way you can get a grace, and she was not injured. I don't think the Indian contingent could have proved an injury, or they would have had to fake an injury. I don't think India is going to fake an injury. I'm sorry. And I will not be any part of that. I've got nothing to be part of anything, but I will definitely not be part of something if we are going to fake an injury. But there is no conspiracy. Whatever is the politics behind it, leave it out. The girl worked very hard. She reduced her weight. She came into 50. She fought her heart out. She got 3 great bouts. She was in the final. It's a technicality. And let's leave it at that. There is no conspiracy.
There is no conspiracy, says Adil Sumariwala. But let's take that forward to Nikhil Naz, our man on the spot, our Sports Today editor, is joining us from Paris. Norris Preetham is India's foremost Olympic journalist, joining us now. Gopal Shankar Narayanan, senior advocate, Supreme Court. He's the amicus on sports reform, has worked very closely with various federations. Ashwini Nachappa is former Olympian, and I'm also joined by Pooja Dhanda, Indian wrestler who won a bronze medal at the 2018 World Championship. Let's come to you first, Nikhil, because you're the man on the spot. Has the Indian team recovered from what has happened in the last 24 hours? Around this time, 24 hours ago, we were celebrating the possibility of India's first ever wrestling gold. And 24 hours later, guess what? We don't even have a single medal in wrestling. Have we come to terms with it? Is there still a feeling that was there a botch up at some level or not?
Well, there's certainly a feeling that there was a botch up at some level, Rajdeep. Has the Indian contingent recovered? Well, I haven't seen anything to suggest that. In fact, it's been very downcast here. I am actually coming to you live from the Olympic Village, right? To my right is where the Olympic Village is. I haven't seen too many Indian athletes come out. Just a short while ago, we spoke to the IOA president in PT Usha, as well as chef de mission Gagan Narang, and talking to them on the sidelines, I don't think they've recovered from what has really panned out today. Gagan Narang in particular, he's an Olympian, he's an Olympic medalist, he's the chef de mission. He spent the entire night being by Vinesh's side, because neither did Vinesh nor did her team sleep throughout the night. 2.7 kilos was that extra weight that she had put on, and she had to lose that. And now, I'm looking at things in retrospect, Rajdeep, and it's telling me a lot of things. I was there at Vinesh's bout yesterday. Once she won the semi-final, she goes through an area which is the mixed zone, where we in the media can interact with the players. She goes past her and rushes across. She doesn't stop for any media interaction, and she said, no, I have a lot of things to do, and she runs across. And that is unusual, especially after an athlete has won, especially when she was guaranteed a medal. And what we are told now, that she knew at that time that she had gained about 2+ kilos, because they do their own private weight measurement, and she knew she was running against time to lose that 2.7 kilograms. I mean, usually if you're in the 1.8 or sub 2 kilos, that is something she could have attempted. But 2.7, she knew she had a tough task at hand. She did not sleep the entire night. She's been awake. She did a lot of cycling, a lot of skipping. We are told cut her hair, as you've seen with the latest pictures as well. But nothing eventually could be done. And you were talking about the kind of effect that is percolated down to the rest of the team. Antim, who's actually fighting in the 53 kilogram category, superseding Vinesh, so as to say, was expected to be a medal hope. She goes down in the very first bout that she plays, 10-0 to her opponent. She didn't stand any chance, and then I see her crying and going out. And I was speaking to a few athletes, and they say this is real. Once there is a controversy like the one that you saw with Vinesh, it does percolate down to the rest of the team. Right. Maybe that was evident in the performance that Antim gave in the 53 kilogram category.
That is very depressing, of course, to hear. But the question therefore arises, was there, as I said, some kind of a botch up? Or is this part of sport? Ashwini Nachappa, you've been there, seen it as an Olympian. I'm sure your heart, like all of us, goes to Vinesh Phogat. But could the backroom staff have perhaps prepared for this eventuality or the possibility of it a bit better, given the fact that she was going to fight in a lower weight category at 50 kgs and not 53?
I think, Rajdeep, the botch-up started right from India, right from the federation level in India to her selection, where she was forced to go into a lower weight category from 53 to 50. So she desperately lost weight to get a quota and get qualified because 53 was already taken.
That's an important point you're making. I just want to re-emphasize that you're saying she was forced to move from 53 to 50 because the 53 category place had been taken.
I think so, because for an athlete who is aspiring to, represent a country at the third Olympics and really prove a point, she had a lot to prove. And then she had to take a chance of actually weighing in the option at which category she could best be suited for the Olympic Games. And I think that's a very conscious choice that she made with her team. And she knew that she could do it at a 50 weight category,
right.
And she's worked extremely hard to ensure that she qualifies in that weight category by losing the amount of weight that was required. So she's worked very hard, her team has worked very hard, and we all saw the back-to-back bouts yesterday, 3 very difficult and strenuous bouts against the Japanese, Ukraine, and all the 3 she fought brilliantly. So of course the entire nation was on a high looking at the way she was. For me, I think what happened yesterday was more than just a gold medal. The way she was focused on every of those bouts. So
I'm going to stop you, Ashwini, just for a moment, because Nikhil wants to get in on what the point you've raised. Nikhil, sort this out for us. Then I'll move to Pooja, who's a wrestler, so she knows exactly how it plays out. Was it true? Let's get this straight. Is it true that she was pushed down, or she chose to push herself down from 53 kgs to 50? Or did the Wrestling Federation of India create a situation where she had little choice but to go for the 50 kg category? Let's get it clear.
Well, Rajdeep, that's exactly the point that I wanted to get to. I think Ashwini Nachappa there has hit the nail on the head. I think it's the latter that you were talking about. Yes, she had a choice to select her weight category, but she was pushed into a corner to eventually settle category. Let me give you a bit of a backgrounder for you to.
Okay, she was
3 kilograms.
She was pushed into a corner. Nikhil, I'm going to come back to you when we get the audio better. Pooja Dhanda, you are an Indian wrestler. You won the bronze medal. आप बताइए the pressure that was faced by Vinesh Phogat. कितना मुश्किल होता है आपको अगर आप 53 kgs में wrestling कर रहे हैं 50 kg आने में?
जी बिल्कुल, काफी मुश्किल होता है, क्योंकि अगर आप 53 भी खेल रहे हो तो भी आप 3 से 4 केजी लूज करके ही 53 खेलते हो। बट उसके बाद फिर आप डिसीजन लेते हो 50 केजी में जाने का, तो आपको अपनी बॉडी की जो लिमिट्स है उससे भी मतलब 3 केजी और डाउन लेके आना होता है, जो शायद यही कारण रहा कि जो सेकंड डे है विनेश का वेट पूरा नहीं आया, 2.7 केजी उसका बढ़ा और फिर वो पूरी रात में 2.6 केजी ही वो कवर कर सकी और लास्ट में 100 ग्राम से आउट हो गई।
So Norris Preetham, we are getting to the real nub of it. The real conspiracy was not what happened in Paris. It was what has happened before Paris. There was a group within the Wrestling Federation of India which was angry or enraged at the fact that Vinesh Phogat had taken on Brijbhushan Saran Singh. His proxy Sanjay Singh takes over as the Wrestling Federation of India chief, and guess what? They make every effort to prevent her from getting into the Olympics in some form. That is the buzz in the wrestling fraternity. This is not gossip. This is exactly what probably happened. The conspiracy, if anything, took place before Paris, when this athlete was denied the opportunity to choose a category where she would be most comfortable, is the belief, because there was someone else who was qualifying for the other category. Your sense, Norris, Has Vinesh somewhere paid a price for what happened last year? And I'll play those visuals of how she was dragged across a road by the police and she took on the establishment.
Yes, Rajdeep, what you're saying is correct. Actually, people are saying conspiracy took place in Paris, which is wrong. Conspiracy took place before the selection trials and when she was sent. So, but that chapter is closed by now. I mean, yesterday she beat a world champion, she beat a European champion. So, I think one should find out as to what happened after she won the second bout against the Cuban. That is the main problem, you know. Now what happened, I mean, we can't go back and on the basis of what happened last year or before the selection trial, the medal cannot be given to her, nor can we learn a lesson from that.
But do you believe that did Vinesh have the option of 53 or 50 or was she pushed into a corner?
Well, if somebody is a world champion or an Asian game champion or a Commonwealth game champion, if he or she is made to sit on a dharna at Jantar Mantar, I don't think there is any option or any choice for that wrestler or for that any sports person for that matter. Look at the way we covered, you were also there, and look at the way we treated our elite sports persons, Sakshi, Bajrang, Vinesh, they were stars. And yesterday everybody was, you know, sort of glued to the TV and people were shouting and, you know, everybody was so happy that the medal is coming. But if you go back to Jantar Mantar days, I'm sorry, you know, what we gave her, we should, even now we should celebrate her, whatever she has done. Even if she has failed to win a medal, we should find out so that we don't repeat these mistakes in future. But to say that what happened, I think, yes, you are right. She was given an unfair treatment. If she had gone in her own weight, probably we would not have seen this day and she would have come back with a gold medal. At least this is what I assume to get from the last yesterday's two bouts.
You know, Gopal Shankar Narayanan, you WhatsApped me this afternoon, angry, enraged. You're an advocate who's worked on sport reforms. You're an amicus on sports reform. In this entire episode, and we can go back to the build-up 18 months ago when the first protest took place against Brijbhushan Saran Singh to what's happened in the last 24 hours. A sense that the athletes are still at the mercy of their federation bosses. Forget, there is no conspiracy in Paris. That was, you know, the medical staff did all they could. The real conspiracy took place in the way India's elite athletes were treated in the last 12 months.
I agree, Rajdeep. I think the others have said this, and Ashwini made that point earlier. There is much to be said about the malaise in Indian sport, and we are seeing it in association after association. We'll probably forget about this after a week when it's no longer topical. But having grappled with this in association after association, just take a look today, for example. You know that the Wrestling Federation of India, of which Sanjay Singh is the head, stands suspended by the government of India. It was suspended in December. That suspension by the government of India has still not been revoked. But Sanjay Singh happily jets off to Paris. I wonder at whose expense, clearly at the public exchequers. And he stands there and pontificates and creates a scapegoat of these local support staff that Vinesh Phogat has. The support staff is not the people who are supposed to take the blame here. Why is it that when 6 wrestlers go, there are 12 staff of Wrestling Federation of India who go along on this? Of the 121 athletes we have sent, 125 additional staff are sent. The federations, independently, apart from what the government sponsors, send hundreds of their people at the cost of the federations. Every single federation has set their own colonies to have a holiday in Paris. Why aren't they standing there and taking care of some delicate situation like this? Vinesh Phogat missed the first trials to qualify for her 53 kilo category earlier this year because she was out protesting. Then she's decided to drop down to 50 kilo, and it's only because the ad hoc committee that had been set up during the time that Sanjay Singh and co were suspended that allowed her an exemption. An exemption would create a division between the wrestlers. Antim, in fact, threatened after losing the Delhi High Court to go to the Supreme Court to challenge it. Is this how federations are run? Do you make your wrestlers fight with each other? Do you not attempt that Vinesh will go in her comfort slot, which is 53 kilos? But she can't. She can't take part in those trials because she's out protesting. I think at the heart of this, we must take our hats off to Vinesh Phogat.
a person who at great cost to herself protested, not for herself, not about what had happened to her, but what had happened to others around her. If more Indians were like Vinesh Phogat, they'd stand up and fight for the right thing at great cost to herself. She has had to drop 6 kilos to fight in this category, and it has taken its toll. And what were all these Johnnies of Wrestling Federation of India who's sitting in Paris doing? They should have kept a close eye on this from day one. Don't blame the scapegoats. Don't create a committee and inquire and get some poor local staff of Vinesh's to be punished for this.
Absolutely. Every word that you've said today must echo. And I must say, it must enrage us. Enough of all these soft-sounding tweets that are being put up by our netas, or enough of the manner in which suddenly the blame game comes from Sanjay Singh, someone who, as Gopal points out, was suspended as Wrestling Federation chief in December, happily goes to Paris and is now blaming Vinesh's support staff. That's the problem, Nikhil Nas. We had you a little while ago. I mean, is someone going to wake up to this reality? That the conspiracy, we are saying this again, the attempt to take Vinesh out of the Olympics took place 6 months ago. I've seen her tweet 4 months ago where she again was protesting. This is not on the street, but she was desperate to get to the Olympics and efforts were being made to block her. That's the reality this country must know today.
Well, that's right, Rajdeep, which is why, I mean, going back to the background, which is why she had to come down to the 50 kilogram category, which wouldn't have been a natural, weight category for her, considering she was at the moment 57, 58 kilogram category, which is a natural weight. And quite similar to Antim as well, she's also around the 57 kilogram category, but it's very normal for a wrestler to drop one weight category down, lose those 3-4 kilos leading up to her bout. But in Vinesh's case, she had to drop 8 kilos. That wasn't really natural, but she was forced to do that. You're absolutely right, because see, I mean, there is no written law, but what the federation had decided that anyone who earns the quota place in the weight category, he or she will represent India going forward. And that's exactly what Antim had done. She had won the quota place in the 53 kilogram category. Now, Vinesh only had two options, either to go up to 57, in which case she would have been fighting much stronger wrestlers than her, or drop down to 50, in which case she'd had to drop about close to anywhere between 8 to 10 kilos to participate. I mean, she chose the latter, and that's why I'm saying it's not about those few grams that happened overnight, but it's actually about the build-up. These are things that happened good 4-5 months ago, where then she had decided to participate in the 50 kilogram category. Just one more thing about the Wrestling Federation. I don't think they've covered themselves in glory with the way they've conducted, and I completely agree with that narrative. But just to point out, at this moment the Wrestling Federation has their own coaches and own physios as well as dietitians. Vinesh, in her case, does not use any of the Wrestling Federation dietitian coaches or anyone as such. She is the only one for whom exceptions were made, and she has got her own specific coach, her own nutritionist, her own physiotherapist and all that. And so the Wrestling Federation in that sense had no skin in the game. They did not oversee her preparation. She decided where she wants to train, who she wants to train under, and if this botch-up has happened, you can blame the Wrestling Federations for 100 things, and I completely agree with that. But in this case, in terms of a weight management, this was done entirely by Vinesh and her team. Of course,
we are separating the two issues.
We need to look into what
we are separating the issue of weight management, which clearly was that of the athlete herself. But what happened in the trials? Now, there are those, of course, who will say that Vinesh herself had thought herself to be larger than the game. When she started these protests, she insisted, for example, during the trials, correct me if I'm wrong, that she wants to fight in both categories, 53 and 50. In 53, there was already someone who had qualified. So she wasn't sure whether she wanted to take her on. So she goes to the lower category. So Ashwini Nachappa, there's also those who will say today that no wrestler is bigger than the game. No sports person is bigger than the game. The Olympic women wrestlers were attempting to become bigger than the game. Do you go along with that at all to those critics who will say, look, Vinesh cannot also escape responsibility. Had she stuck to the sport instead of protesting last year, she could have got a medal without a problem, even in 53.
Rajdeep, as you know, we've been fighting this, malice in federations for years. Since 2010, we've been doing it. This is an issue that every federation in India has. But having said that, I think what we saw happen in the streets of New Delhi was unprecedented. We've never seen elite sports stars coming down to the street. And I have had an interaction with Vinesh a few months ago in Mumbai, and I can see, the way she would speak about the entire issue, there was so much of hurt and pain within her, even to talk about the issue. Now, I can only imagine as a girl child what happens in these circumstances. Not just to her, she could speak up. She was a voice of the young athletes. Yes, having got onto the streets, I agree with you. No one is above, the institution, or no one is above the sport. Everybody falls in the framework and the rules and regulations of the game. But I think there has been an element of distrust. And that is why she has her own team at Paris. She could not trust the people of the federation. Now, what happened and what transpired about the weight management is very unfortunate. I'm sure the entire team has worked immensely. It's just her bad luck that she was overweight despite her efforts and her team's effort by that 100 grams, which is absolutely nothing.
Can I just get for a moment Pooja to tell us, let me bring in Norris Preetham at this point, because Norris, as I said, the critics of the women wrestlers for the last 18 months are saying there were other ways in which they could have protested, not hit the street. As a result, a confrontation was created, ugly as it was. Sanjay Singh was a crony of Brij Bhushan Saran Singh, takes over the Wrestling Federation. And the women wrestlers were cornered because they chose to take on the establishment. Do you believe this could have been settled? Should the government of India have played a far more proactive role here? Preeti Usha is the IOA president, is one of the great legends of the sport, and her role is also coming under the scanner. Could she have done more to have resolved this much earlier?
Rajdeep, during the hunger strike, or the dharna, where we call it, Preeti Usha was the one who called people like Vinesh as indisciplined athletes. And this is what she showed last night. I mean, IUA was against her. Some of my friends, I am ashamed to say, some of my friends said that they are just making excuse and she will not qualify, she will not do anything, she should not be sent to Paris Games. I mean, it's a slap on their face. Imagine a person like Jordan Burroughs, who's a 6-time world champion. I was speaking to him today in the morning because in 2015, the World Championship took place in Las Vegas, where Jordan saw 18-year-old Vinesh for the first time. I was there, and he told me, he said, "This is your future. Please keep her nicely. This is your future." And today, you know what she has told me? She has looked amazing this week and deserved to be on the podium today. This is tragic, he says. And in his fury, he has suggested or written some suggestions to the World UWW, the World Wrestling Federation. And among the other things, first thing he says, 1 kilogram second day weight allowance. She is losing by 100 grams. He is suggesting 1 kilogram. And then another suggestion, which is a very valid, he has written to the world body, give Vinesh the silver medal. This is the kind of reaction that we are getting from all over the world, and our own people were condemning them. I don't know for what reason. I don't know why we call about media the fourth state and free state and this, that, and the other thing. But they were brutally assaulted, virtually and otherwise. But Delhi police people, I mean, the constables, they were dragging her, pulling her hair.
Sure.
And yesterday, I think when she fought the two bouts yesterday, it must have been back of her mind, and she wanted to take a revenge. I wish it was not there, and she would have come back with the gold medal and silenced all these critics.
Well, I think she has silenced them in many ways, but Gopal,
yes,
as I said,
in any case, she has silenced. Yes.
She has. Gopal, you mentioned how the Wrestling Federation is particularly symptomatic of a lot of what is wrong with Indian Sports Federation. But there's also the belief that over the last 10 years, various government-led initiatives like TOPS, which is designed to get more Indians on the podium in the Olympics, have actually gone out of the way to promote sport. So there's that part also. So while we look at the federations and many of them are controlled by politicians who simply want power, there's also the belief that Indian sports has turned the corner. Do you believe that something like this happening reminds us in a way that we still have a long way to go?
I think very much so. And I think this malaise of politicians in sport must stop. We have had a couple of associations where thankfully that provision has come in, and so they are out. But we must also have provisions to ensure that relatives of people in politics are also thrown out of the sport. I know it sounds arbitrary, but we have seen that the proof of the pudding is in the eating, and very often they just put up a brother or a son or somebody else and it's them controlling it from the back. On the law of the UWW, the Wrestling International Body, I went through the code in extensio, and I think it needs some very serious reform, just off what Mr. Preetam was saying. There are two provisions there, one which affected Vinesh today, which says that all wrestling events are held over 2 days, day 1 and day 2 for the repechage and the finals. So if you are out of your weight category like Vinesh was on day 2, when only the medal events take place, you stand disqualified even if you were all right on weight on day 1.
Yes.
Now that's ludicrous because you were all right on weight on the day that you managed to qualify.
Can that be challenged post facto? The fact that you fought your first day underweight and it's only on the second day that you get disqualified. Is that good enough for you? Can that be challenged?
Well, I think that has to happen as internal reform. We have no way of challenging it. You can take it to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, but they don't really have the power of review, unlike Supreme Court taking up a law or something. You don't have that. So it has to be, if you have clout in that organization. See the power that the BCCI has, for example, in the ICC, because India is the most important country for that sport. But for wrestling, surprisingly, you'll find it's entirely manned by a large number of Eastern Europeans and people from mainland Europe, large numbers of them. There's almost no Indian except one person in one committee across 14 committees and about 150 people. There's only one Indian. Now, since wrestling is such an important sport for India, Indian wrestling organizations like the WFI should have greater heft, should have been able to stand up at the table. But tell me honestly, who is going to listen to Sanjay Singh, a man who has absolutely no background, or Brij Bhushan? These are not people who internationally will be regarded in a sport which they are not even doing enough to bring up to par.
Absolutely. And Nikhil Naz is a final word there from Paris. Give us a sense, the officials who are, who seem to control these sports. Are you seeing any change on the ground in the relationship between the sports stars and the officials? Remember, even the likes of Manu Bhaker in the past had a huge, had a lot of problems with the way federations were run, with the way coaching was done. Manu eventually got Jaspal back on her team and won these 2 medals. All is not well. When you're there on the ground, do these officials still straddle around perhaps the Louvre, watching the, going to the museums, having a good time, drinking some wine, rather than focusing on the athletes? Are we seeing a genuine change in officials, I'm saying?
Well, I can give you a few examples, Rajdeep, this time around. For example, Gagan Narang, a former athlete who's chef de mission, he actually spent the entire night with Vinesh. He was by her side on the hospital bed.
And where was Sanjay
while
Singh?
She was recuperating
where
after
was
being
Mr.
dehydrated.
Sanjay Singh?
I've seen PT Usha.
Sorry, where was the Wrestling Federation chief?
Sanjay Singh did attend it. He did attend all her bouts. I did see him watching Vinesh's bout, but he went on to say, I did interview him, he went on to say that any sort of help that we offer, she refuses. She doesn't want us around, and that's why she's got her own support staff. So I was there cheering for us in the semi-final. You saw me do that, but so far as about us helping her in terms of her coaching and all, she doesn't want us around. That's one thing. Just another quick point, Rajdeep, about the rule as such, that why do you have to weigh in twice? Because listen, she was weighed stayed in on the first day, and then she went on to reach the final. So maybe a silver should be given. I also spoke exclusively to the UWW boss, the International Federation boss, and he really put things into perspective. He said the problem is that you're looking at it as a one-day competition. It's not. It's a two-day competition for every wrestler, and you have to maintain that weight. If you're fighting in the 50 kilogram category, you better maintain that 50 kilogram weight over a period of 2 days. He is saying we are going to the other extreme, that we might even introduce weight testing at the end of day one, which wasn't the case. So what typically happens, you drop your weight at the start of the weigh-in on day one, compete, gain weight, and then again next day at the weigh-in you again drop your weight. He said we don't even want that. We want it to be stable. So in fact we are looking at it as a one-day competition, and that's why we're feeling a bit aggrieved that she did not get that silver medal. They said it's a two-day competition. You need to be within the 50 kilogram category if you're competing in that. So don't look at it, and that's why the disqualification. That's why no silver medal, because if you're above the weight category, then for them you're a non-starter, and that's exactly what they've done. Probably instead of looking at it differently as to every day you look at the weight and then allow the athlete to get the medal, they are going to the other extreme where they might even test the weight at the end of each day, which will make it even tougher for athletes. That will ensure one thing, that you don't have to go through these drastic measures of losing weight before the competition starts, and then more often than not you'll see wrestlers compete in the natural weight category.
In conclusion, Ashwini Nachappa, it has been as I said, a real roller coaster of emotions over the last 24 hours. How do you see Vinesh emerging out of it? You spoke to her, you said recently, do you think she'll emerge stronger? Does she have another Olympic in her, or is this the end of the road?
I think she's shown the entire nation that she's truly a woman of substance. There is absolutely no doubt about it. She's a very, very strong individual, and what she has achieved is a no mean feat. I mean, even qualifying, having all the baggage that she was carrying, training hard, qualifying at a weight category lesser. She has worked hard to get that qualification, fought brilliantly all the 3 bouts, and for something like this to happen, it's very unfortunate. The entire morning when the news broke, all of us were reacting very emotionally. But I think for that athlete, for her, I think she should be received back in India as a true champion, because what she has achieved in the 3 bouts is far beyond that gold medal, and we should welcome her and cherish what she has achieved.
I wonder whether Norris, as India's most experienced Olympic writer, do you hope that Vinesh will make a comeback? Do you hope to see her one day on the podium, or is that dream over?
Rajdeep, she's already 30. I mean, she'll be turning 30 on the 25th of August. And by the time the next games come, she will be 34, which is quite difficult for a wrestler or for any sports person to carry on for that long. But knowing her so well, I'm sure in spirit she will be very high, but because she's a very, very injury-prone person or a wrestler. In Tokyo she had injury, in Rio she had injury, in Las Vegas she had injury. That's a body makeup. So okay. I don't think she can carry on, even if she wants to. But I have a suggestion that when she comes back, what we should do is make a medal, a gold medal, not 24 karat, a pure gold medal, a replica of the gold medal, which will be given to the girl who won tomorrow. Make a medal and give it to her in a public function in Delhi. I mean, not in PMO or some room of some babu, but maybe at Vijay Chowk with a grand party, with a grand function, and let the whole of India come there and see that we acknowledge her achievement, that we respect her, we love her. I think that will be the biggest tribute to Vinesh.
Okay, there's a suggestion. Maybe there's someone out there in our powers that be who's listening, that please consider that Vinesh Phogat has done this country very proud by what she did yesterday. What happened today can happen to any athlete, particularly in sports like wrestling. But at the moment, our thoughts are with her, her family, her supporters. In many ways, Vinesh Phogat has proven that she can bounce back from adversity. And who is to say that 4 years from now, when the Olympics take place in Los Angeles, Vinesh Phogat will not be back. Our prayers, our thoughts, our hopes are with not just her, but with all the athletes who often have to struggle to reach the very top. It's very easy to sit in TV studios or in social media and tweet about our athletes and engage in character assassination. The truth is, they are the ones we should be celebrating. Think about it. That's it on the news on this special that we've had on this dramatic day in Indian Olympic sport. Let's hope tomorrow Neeraj Chopra remains the country's golden boy. Thanks for watching. Stay well, stay safe. Jai Hind, Shubhratri, Namaskar.
एक दोस्त है जिससे बात किए बिना हम रह नहीं सकते। बातें घंटों की हों या कुछ सेकंड्स की, कुछ बातें दूर से हो जाती हैं और कुछ नजदीक आके। दोस्त से बात करो जब दिल घबराए या जब दिल धूम मचाए। ये दोस्त हमेशा हमारी बात सुनता है, सोमवार हो या रविवार हो या कोई त्योहार हो, क्योंकि हमारा सबसे अच्छा दोस्त भगवान ही तो है।
मंगलदीप, दिल से करो बात भगवान के साथ।
The grandest stage,
the ultimate challenge, where dreams are made and legends are born.
The pinnacle of sportsmanship,
where new heroes will rise and old records will fall.
As the Olympic journey begins, our nation unites in a single resounding cheer. Go India, go for glory.
Go India, go for glory. Only on India Today.